Oh, there we go. All right. Good morning, Sistars. I'm so excited to be here with each and every single one of you on today. It is a amazing time frame. I am just super excited about all the things that God is going to do on today. I thank you all for all of the prayers and texts and encouragement and just all the things that the sisterhood does. I'm always appreciative of the sisterhood and just what it has done in my life. Just like Rox talked about, this is our covering. And it is something amazing when we all get together. And it's something even more amazing about us all walking and being on one accord. Sisters, this is the last lesson in this series about commitment and then obedience. And then today we are going to tackle on compassion. And I'm just super excited. I love when I get a chance to talk to Dr. Di, and she gives me direction, clarity, and just plain encouragement. She's just positive all the time. And so, Dr. Di, I pray that I do well on this compassion lesson on today with everyone. Today, the topic that we have is Dear God, it's me, sincerely a broken crayon. And today, I want you to use your imagination with me because I am going to teach this lesson of compassion from a story about crayons. And so, on today, I want all of us to just for a few moments pretend that you are a crayon. Okay. And that's what we are going to be talking about. But before I get into our crayon story, one of the things that I want us to do, you all know how much I am always into defining, words, definitions, and things like that, because I believe that the words that we have power. The things that we say matter, and everything that you do can either speak life or death over your circumstances or over the situations that are going on. And so I wanted to really define the word compassion so that we can understand what it is, because I think that a lot of times we talk about like being compassionate and having love for one person or making sure that we are having love for one another. But I don't know if we actually take in consideration what it is to be compassionate. So I went to the good old Webster dictionary as always, and this is what they said the word compassion means. It says it's being sympathetic and conscious of others' distress. And then, together with your consciousness and your sympathy that you have, being moved and stirred and having a desire to alleviate their stress or whatever they are enduring for that person or the one that you love or whoever you are having endearment for. So that's what compassion is. So now that we understand that definition of compassion, I want us to think about how we started this series. We talked about the fact that we had to be in commitment to God. Like you have to train your mindset to get out of living in that fear side of life and walking in the power and the authority that you have. And then last week, we talked about the fact that obedience is necessary for us. Obedience is a necessary factor in order for us to gain the power, to gain the things that God has. And so now that you understand a little bit about your commitment, and now that you understand about your compassion, your commitment, and then your obedience, and now we're going to tie all of those into how we have to have compassion, not just for ourselves but for one another. So here's going to be this story. And for all of my educators, you probably have heard this one or used it in your classroom somewhere. But I'm actually splicing a few pieces together on this one. But this is a story about crayons in a crayon box. And this comes from, or this is going to be Tiffany's adaptation of Duncan's crayon box. So I hope you all are ready. Here we go. So here's the story of Duncan in his crayon box, right? So Duncan is this little boy, and because we're sisters on here, we're just going to change up Duncan in the crayon box. And we're just gonna say it's Sistar in her crayon box. And so in Sistar's crayon box, her crayons are what she always loves, what she always knows to just color with. She uses it for everything that she does. And so one day she opens her crayon box and she notices that all the crayons are gone. And inside of this crayon box are letters from the crayons saying why they have left her. And so as she starts to open them up, Red Crayon says, "Hey, Sistar, I know that you love me and I know that I am one of your favorites. You color me with your hearts and you color me for the fire truck and the stop sign and everything else. But you know what? I am tired. I'm tired of having to be used. I feel overworked. I feel like you use me and you just keep on using me and you use me up. And so I've decided that today I quit and I am not going to be coloring for you on today because I am overworked." Well, as she opened up the other letter, there's another one that came from the color purple. And purple said to her, said, "Hey, sister, you know what? I love the fact that you love to use me. I love the fact that you love using me to make your outlines and to draw all of your pretty flowers and everything else. But I have a problem with you because you're always coloring with me outside of the lines of the paper. And I'm tired of always being used. I don't mind, but I'm tired of you always going to me and we can never stay in sync with what is supposed to be. If you could just please, possibly next time you decide to use me, stay inside the lines, I would be most appreciative. But as of today, I'm not going to color anymore for you." And so then she starts to open up another one, and Beige wrote a letter to her, and Beige said, "You know what? I'm tired of being mixed up and confused by what you think I am. You always confuse me whenever you want to use me for some type of artwork. And let's be honest, the only time that you pull me out is when you want to draw a turkey at Thanksgiving time, or if you're drawing some color of wheat. And let's be honest, how many times are you going to color some wheat? When do you use wheat out there?" And so Beige says, "As of now, I am no longer going to color." And so then she opens the next letter, and White is there. And White's letter says, "You don't even see me. You put me on paperwork and you draw with me, but you can't even see me. I'm invisible to you. I don't even know why I exist. I don't even know why you decide to use me in the crayon box. And so, because you don't use me, or when you do use me, I'm invisible. I just want you to know, as of today, I am no longer going to color for you on your coloring pages." And so Sister started getting a little bit panicked. And so she opens up the next letter. And so the next letter comes from Black. And Black says, I know that you use me and I know that you outline me. And I'm so grateful that you're using me to be your outline for your pictures and your art. And I'm the standard and the rubric. But I'm tired of doing that. Can't you use me to be a beach ball, or can't you use me for coloring something else? I am tired of just being an outline for you. As of today, I am no longer going to color for you. Well, she keeps opening it up. And so she opens up the yellow and orange. And the letters from yellow and orange are a little bit different because they both were talking on each other's letter. And so yellow says, "I am upset with you, Sistar. I'm upset with you because I am the true color of the sun, and you want to use me with orange. You know that orange is not the color of the sun, but that's what you always use me for. Sometimes you'll use me for a banana, but most of the time you try to pair me with the orange, and I don't like orange. And guess what? I'm never going to speak to orange again. So, because I'm not speaking to orange again, this is my last day, and I refuse to color." Well, orange puts a check mark on yellow's letter, and then the letter from orange says, "Hi, this is orange. And I just want you to know that I'm not talking to yellow because yellow thinks that they are the true color of the sun, but I am the color of the sun. If you ever look at it, you see that there is orange in there and that there's yellow. And yellow doesn't even have a big factor. Nobody sees yellow, they see the orange. And so as of today, I'm not talking to yellow. And as of today, I am no longer going to color because I don't want to be a part of it." And so Sister keeps opening up these letters and she's reading all of these complaints and all of these gripes. And so Blue comes in, and Blue's letter says, "Hey, I'm kind of short and I'm kind of stubby, but that's because you've used me a whole lot. And I appreciate being used, but I could use a break. I could use some rest because you use me for everything. You use me for the sky. You use me to add color and life to all of your other things. And as of today, I no longer want to be used in that way because I'm getting short and I'm getting out of my coloring. I'm glad you still use me, but I'm tired and I no longer want to color. And so then in comes Peach, and Peach says, look, I'm simply writing to you because you peeled off all of my clothes and you took off all of my paper wrapping. And so now I'm just bare. You don't even use me at all. So I just stay inside of this crayon box and I refuse to come out because you don't even see me anymore. I'm tired and I'm done. And as of today, I am no longer going to be coloring. Now, sisters, I know you're probably like, okay, Tiff, you done told us about these crayons. You done told us about everything else. What does this have to do with us and this compassion? Well, there was one more letter that came in from the crayon box, and it was the color green. And green said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm very happy and I'm very content with the way that you decided to use me. I know all of my friends and all of the other crayons, they've left you, but I wanted you to know that I'm still here and I'm still standing because I understand that I am your crayon and you have to use me however you deemed fit. The other crayons and I, we did have a meeting and we did talk, and a lot of them don't like where they're at because they have been used up, and some of them have chips and they're not as colorful and vibrant as they used to be. And so some of them, just because they feel as if they're broken on the outside and they have some nubs and some broken chips, they no longer want to be used. But I want you to know that I'm very content with how you use me, and I appreciate you making me one of your favorite colors. And so as Sister kind of looked at all of the letters and thought about the crayons and thought about the things that were going on, she finally decided that she knew a way to make everyone happy. And she knew a way to be able to make sure that each one was utilized. And so she wrote a little letter back, and she said, if you show up one more time, I promise I will use you all. And so all the crayons decide, okay, we're going to give her one more chance. And so they come back. And when they come back, she says, I'm going to use you all. And I need you to understand that, yes, I have used some of you more than I have others. And yes, I have used some not as much as I would like to. But I need you to understand that I love all of you, and all of you have a purpose in all of my coloring. All of you have a purpose in my masterpieces and in my master plans. And just because you may have chips and maybe I have used you a little bit more than others, it doesn't mean that you are any less than anybody else. I love you all the same, and I'm going to make a beautiful masterpiece using every single one of you. Sisters, God is our master. He is our artist, and the life that you and I live, that is his canvas. God takes what you and I deem as messy, what you and I deem as different pieces, what you and I deem as broken pieces, and he's able to transform those broken little nubs that we might have. You might find yourself finding your place or not being able to find your place. And God says, I am your master and I'm going to use you just the way that you are, broken, healed, whole, unseen, not seen. I'm going to use you, and there's a purpose in your life, and there's a reason that you are able to shine and to be exactly who I need you to be. Sisters, as you take a look at some of these crayons, we're going to pull out some of these crayons, and I want you to see if you find yourself being just like some of these crayons and having some of these complaints. And when you have these complaints, you may find out why you are lacking the compassion and why you can't sympathize with your sister or even your brother. You might find why you need to review your commitment and your obedience to God so that you can be compassionate to him. Our red, gray, and our blue crayons, they all gave a letter to their sister, and they were saying that they were overworked. And some of you are in that space, sisters, where you are overworked. You're pouring out yourself to other people. You're pouring yourselves out to things that really are not relevant. You are doing a lot of busy, but you're not being impactful in the things that you are. Some of us are like those crayons, and we are overworked because of the mindsets that we have. We feel that if we do this, if we participate in this group, in this club, in this organization, or if we're on this ministry at church, or if we do this piece or we do that piece, that it's going to help us be who we need to be. And then when people are coming our way, when our sisters are having complaints about the things and the trials of life that they are going through, we are hearing them, but we hear it and we allow it to come out of one ear and or go in one ear and come out the other. We're so consumed that we miss the opportunity to be able to sympathize and to be there for our sisters. Remember, having compassion is about being so compelled and so moved that I want to eliminate and I want to try to help you eliminate the stress and the cares and the trials that you're going through. But some of us are overworked because we have some heart problems. Heart check. First John chapter 3 and verse 18 says, little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. Sisters, it's one thing for us to hear the prayers and to hear the complaints of our sisters and just, oh, I'm so sorry. And in that moment, well, I'm going to be praying for you. And you go on about being busy, doing the things that you want to do, steady complaining about being overworked and overrun, and you're not able to show that compassion to your fellow sister. It's time for us to figure out whose authority are we under? What are you doing in order for you to show love? We talk about we are a sisterhood and there is a certain covering that we are supposed to have for one another. But some of us are just like those red, gray, and blue crayons where we're excited about the things that are happening, but we're so consumed with life that we're so consumed we're no good and we're not being there for our fellow sister. And I need you to understand today and really do a self check. Are you being the red and blue crayon? Some of us are being beige and white. Some of us are having identity issues because we are under the authority of Satan and we are allowing him and his fear, the false evidence to appear real. We're allowing that to creep into our mindset and we're telling ourselves that we don't matter. And because we have that complex of not being able to understand how we are loved and what we are covered and not understanding that we're committed to power and that power rests, rules, and resides within us. And because we don't understand that, when we see others stars who have issues and who are feeling like they are left out and they are feeling like nobody sees them and they're all by themselves, instead of us owning that we serve the ultimate master, instead of us owning that, some of us sit back and we shy away, or some of us dare not even open our mouths and get the covering and get the healing that we need. Sisters, it's time for us to be compassionate with one another. It's time for us to be so moved by when I hear that someone has lost their loved one or someone is going down. I should be so involved and so in tune with my sisters that I want to be there for them and I want to say, I'm praying for you, I'm reaching out for you, I love you, you are not alone, we see you, I see me, and I see you the way that God sees me, and I see you the way that God loves you, and I want you to know that you are not by yourself. And sometimes, sisters, it's going to take us to have a mindset that says I'm not alone because the God that I serve is always there for me. First Peter chapter 4 and verse 8 says, above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sin. Look, we got to keep loving, even when you are giving out, and even when it seems like it's not, being well received, you keep on loving, you keep on holding, you keep on doing it, because one day that love tank is going to be so full that it's going to be reciprocated in one way or another. And if you are feeling, sister, that you are like those beige and white ones where people are riding with you, but they can't see you, I need you to understand that you're loved by the God Almighty who sees you, he knows you, and God is writing and using you for his good. You might be a little chipped, you might be a little worn down, but God knows you and he wants to use you for his glory and for his purposing. But you've got to be willing to be open. That's why you got to be committed to him. And that's why your obedience matters, so that when it comes to matters of the heart and you're doing heart checks, you can actually see what is or what is not. Some of us, Sistars, are like yellow and orange. Some of us feel that we know what we know and how we know, and that is the bottom line. And some of us even have the audacity to be so well endowed with the knowledge of what we know and who we think that we are, that when we see other sisters who may not even be trying to do anything wrong to you, we have attitude. Some of us have attitude with our fellow sisters, and not just your fellow sisters, but the people in your circle, people in your community. Oh, they looked at me wrong. They said the wrong thing. And I know what I am, and I'm supposed to be the one who's there. I'm the teacher. I'm the one who's been at, church. I'm the leader. I'm this, I'm that. You ever notice that those people are the ones who's I'm. And as sisters and as Christian women, it isn't about you. You are nothing. It is all about him. And you have to understand that your power, your strength, everything that you are, everything that you have, it comes from him. And so how dare we sit here and look at one another and have oughts and be in our feelings because somebody did something or said something that we don't like. Look, Romans chapter 12 and verse number 10 says, love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. There are a lot of talented people who can come and give inspiration. They can come and speak to you. How dare I sit here and be bold and be like, I'm the teacher. I'm the one who has this power. God gifted me. You don't know. No, I love the way that Dr. Di always says, I love sitting at the feet of wisdom and learning. I love it. She always shows compassion. She always shows love. We don't have the right to stay caught up in who we want to be and what we want to do. See, when you do that, you're walking away from your alignment. You're walking away from the authority that you're supposed to be under. God is love. Ephesians 4:32 says, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving one another, just as Christ forgave you. It's the love that God has for you and for I that keeps us. It's the love that God has had for you and I that even gives us the strength to be able to open our mouths, to blink, to move, to have anything. So none of us have the right to be having oughts and holding things against one another. Yes, the offense hurt, but guess what? The defense that we have, he says he'll give you peace of mind and he'll give you the strength that you need to endure past that. But you keep doing what you're supposed to do and show the compassion and show the love that God has for you. Leviticus chapter 19 and verse number 34 says, you should treat the stranger who sojourns with you as the nature of love and as himself. And that's the first part in the first section. Sisters, what I want us to be able to glean from is the fact that if we're supposed to be compassion, and that means that we're supposed to be having sympathy, and we're supposed to be conscious about how we are wanting to help alleviate our brother or our sisters' burdens and the trials and the things that they're going through, it's going to take us being able to have that fruit. Remember when Dr. Di told us about how all of us have fruit on our trees and we don't get the right to decide who gets to pick from us? That concept is coming from the fact that Galatians chapter 5 verse 22 and verse 23 says that, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, it's gentleness, it's self-control. And then Bible even says against those things, there's no law. There's no law against you loving people. There's no law about you having joy. There's no law against you being patient. There's no laws about that. It encourages us to have that. That's what's supposed to be on the inside, because when that's on the inside, sister, you're aligning yourself and you're being obedient to what God has to say. When you decide to open your word, when you decide to really say, I'm going to be subjected to your authority, God, I'm committing myself to you and only you, and what it has or what you have for me. Guess what? Our struggles, the things that we're depending on, all of us with these broken pieces, these broken fragments, these mindsets that are causing us to feel as if we are nothing because we're being used, because we're pouring out, because someone may have hurt us, because of something else. I need us to understand that even with all of those things happening, with all of that is going on, it should all lead us to wanting to be more open, more loving, and more compassionate. We are a sisterhood. The covering can't cover if we got heart check problems. The covering can't cover if we're not willing to love you the way that God loves me. I don't know about you, Sister, but I love Sunday morning. And I love Sunday morning, not just because I get to be here with you all, but I love Sunday morning because it's the one day out of the week that I get to give back to my God. God works for you and for me 24/7. 365 days out of the year. He is nonstop. And he loves me in spite of me going away from him. He loves me in spite of me disobeying. He loves me in spite of me wanting to do things the way that I want to do. He loves me even when I give in to the false evidence that appears real. He loves me even when I'm not being loving to others. And I don't know about y'all, but if you just when Tiff sit back and I think about all the stuff that I could have did and I should have been, all the things that I did, the thoughts that I had, the love that I did not show. And then I think about the fact that Christ sat there and he said, you know what? I'm still going to love her. And when I sit here and you and I have the opportunity to think about the fact that even on our best day, even on the worst day, God still loves us. The blood is still covering us. The blood is still keeping us. Sister, that's an amazing factor. And if you just think about all the things that you do in your life or have done in your life and think about the fact that God still loves you in spite of, how dare we not be willing to take on our sister's burden and say, I've been there, I've done that. Keep it real. I told us some of us are walking around pseudo women, being pseudo sistars. And I need for us to step up and for us to be real and say, look, I've been there. I understand that it's a struggle, but guess what? With God on our side and God painting our picture and using us the way that he wants us to, we're going to be able to rise. And I'm going to pray for you. You pray for me. I'm going to cover you. You going to cover me. And when two of us are together and we're walking in one accord, guess what? We're going to keep on walking, and then we're going to attract other people, and then we're going to keep covering, and we're going to keep building, and we're going to keep holding. So then when trials come and when I see my sister hurting and when I see her say, pray for me because I'm at my end of my rope and I don't know what to do, when I see my sister saying this just came out of nowhere and I don't even know how to think or feel, I can say, sister, what I need you to understand is that God is your master. He is the artist of your life. Your life is his canvas and he is making you the way that you need to be. You might feel like you are the stub. You might feel like some of your colors have fallen off. You might feel like you chipped up, but broken crayons, they still color and they still have value and they still matter. On today, Sistars, we're going to ask God, hey, Lord, whatever in me is not of me, let me be filled with you. Whatever broken pieces that I might be in, I want you to know that you can use me, God. Today, we're going to choose to get rid of that malice, get rid of the stuff that the enemy wants us to hold on to so that he can keep us handled, locked up, tied up, and tangled up. We're going to unleash that. And on today, we're going to say, dear God, it's me, your broken crayon. Color with me and do as you will, because I know that when I align myself and I give myself to you and I commit myself to your will and your way, I can be better for my fellow sister, for your family, wherever you are, whatever you might be in. God is still going to use you. Dear God, it's me, sincerely a broken crayon. Reflect on today and find out where you are. And when you do, pray about it and ask God to help you move so that we can be like that green crayon saying, God, I thank you. I thank you for where I'm at. I thank you for my life. I thank you for using me in the way that you do, because when you use me, I know it's for the good. That's what I want us to dwell on today. Sisters, be committed. walk in your obedience to God, and then have compassion, not just for others, but for yourself, and give yourself back to God, and understand that our covering and our sisterhood is dependent on you and I making sure that we're in alignment and that our broken chips still are coloring. Rox, I turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you.